This is Abnormal Entertainment.
I am a real American, fight for the rights of every man. I am a real American, fight for what's right, fight for your life.
You're listening to the No Cry Zone, a progressive political podcast on the Abnormal Entertainment Network.
And welcome to the No Cry Zone. I'm here with Bernie Bernstein of the Washington Post. Bernie, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
This is Bernie. Your business card says Big City Jew right here, which is pretty awesome. That kind of describes things. I hear you're looking for people who have been violated by Roy Moore. Is that correct?
That's right. And if you have a complaint, just tell us. I'll pay you money. I won't ask any questions, and it'll be printed immediately.
Oddly enough, I have someone here with us. We've disguised his voice. Rob Vidro. He was touched by Roy Moore as a child. When Roy Moore was a child.
Yeah.
No, it was just last week.
When Roy Moore was acting childlike.
Yeah. I thought, before this latest thing, which we'll get into the robocall thing in a second, I thought that the whole Roy Moore thing that's been going on for the past, week or so, somebody pointed out, they said, if you've been banned from a mall, you really should be banned from the Senate.
And here I was just getting over my fear of malls. And Roy.
It's good. The malls are taking the lead on this one.
Right. So for the robocall, of course, this is a robocall that's been going around Alabama, which I'm sure will be entirely effective. It will work because it's not designed to actually bring up any dirt. Obviously, these are people that are supporting Roy Moore.
Right.
It's just designed to make the connection in voters' minds that all of this is some sort of dirty tricks campaign and just to ignore it.
Right.
Because them big city Jews coming down here.
And don't forget who the real mastermind is here. It's Bannon. Bannon is running this show, so you have to...
This is classic Bannon. But I think, it's a testament to your audience when you can get away with the name Bernie Bernstein and they buy it.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
It's Sheldon Goldberg over...
Well, there's a guy named Ken Tremendous, I doubt it's his real name, on Twitter, but he said, the next robocall will probably be, hi, this is Rabbi Joseph Yarmulke El Muhammad Manhattan Bagel Clinton. I'm a black woman. Do you have a second to chat?
Bagel Clinton.
So,
It takes a lot for Yertle to go back into his shell and say, cut these people loose. So Yertle's done that.
We know why Yertle actually said that. They don't want Roy Moore.
Yeah.
These guys don't want another freaking Trump psychotic evangelical douche-tard back in what's going on. He's gonna disrupt everything.
Well,
right.
Yeah, they don't want Roy Moore, but they do want a loyal Republican in there. The calculus of the Senate is they cannot lose even one vote. If they certainly can't let the Democrat win, which it's possible. It's still a long shot.
That's
Frankly,
Luther
I think.
Strange, right?
I think. Yeah. Oh no, Luther Strange was the Republican that Trump had backed. He lost. I forgot the other guy's name.
I'd have voted for him.
But
all of those guys were sleazy.
But
really,
the thing that we should be watching for is Jeff Sessions resigning as Attorney General and then running for his old seat. That's the thing to watch for.
See, now even that has to be apparent to the hardline Republicans, the old end around of the Jeff Sessions. I wasn't quite effective persecuting that Clinton lady, so I quit and decided to be more effective in the Senate when I could persecute that Clinton lady.
Yeah, I'm afraid you're right. But more importantly, of course, if you get Jeff Sessions out of the Justice Department, the same Jeff Sessions who has recused himself from all the Russia investigations, you then leave Bob Mueller very vulnerable.
True.
And not that he couldn't be fired now, but it makes it much more difficult. If you get an attorney general in there and you know that whoever replaces Sessions the only thing that they will be designed, the only thing that Trump will care about is, will you fire Mueller? Wait, Mueller? Mueller?
Mueller.
It is Mueller, thank you. God damn it.
Well, you know who's going to get appointed? DT2. Because you don't have to have experience now, as we saw with that our current federal appointee to the bench never tried a case.
Right, except
his wife is a White House lawyer
who will be testifying. By the way, now this just came out. He forgot to mention, by the way, that his wife is going to be testifying to the FBI in the whole Russia investigation. So. Yeah.
How do they? Why do they think that no one's going to find out?
I don't think they care at this point.
Yeah, I think it was kind of a what if you do? It's kind of like the mafia.
What are you going to do about it?
What are you going to do about it?
Is everyone just on this giant vacation in D.C., expenses paid right now? Let's see how long it lasts. We're on a cruise.
Kind of. On one side, anyway.
It's like, when you go on a cruise, you're like, well, I'm going to have to diet when the cruise is over. But while I'm on the cruise...
While I'm here, I'm going to have to touch as many children as possible. Right. I'm going to have to, booze it up. Gosh, how many mistresses can one have?
Right.
It's a question I'm asking.
And, Sessions, who came back to Congress again this week for his, 14th recantation of what he said previously. I mean, the next time he comes, he's just going to be speaking Russian. He'll just come in and just be speaking Russian, and it'll be like, what? What's the problem? I've always spoke Russian.
Yeah,
you're just like, what is going on?
He's playing by his script as well. Every time Sessions has been in trouble, he plays this Southern gentleman. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! I can't believe. And pretty soon it goes away. I mean, he got to the position that he is doing this.
No, he didn't. He got to the position that he is because he got appointed by an idiot.
But that's what. That was the qualifications was you will do what I say, which is what...
the Southern Gentleman Act didn't get him this job. The Southern Belle Act got him this job.
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. President.
Yeah, exactly.
How manly you are. Well, I just threw this on when you were coming over. Mm-hmm. There's no drinks.
Exactly. We've discussed that before, is Trump is easily manipulated by compliments or by threats. And you can get him to do things that he didn't want to do the day before.
I heard that you said you would never, ever appoint me the Attorney General. Well, isn't that silly, Mr. President?
Right.
Perhaps we could work on my oral testimony.
And whatever happened between you and me, I shall not recall.
And that goes along with the whole... the whole theory of the Trump presidency. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah,
I don't recall.
I think that's where we're at now. It pretty much is. Yeah, so what? Fuck you.
Yeah, the whole process wasn't designed for people just to be lying.
Yeah, right. Well, it was supposed to slap those people down before they even got appointed to these positions.
Yeah, right. But it wasn't supposed to be all of them. That was the point. Everyone's lying.
It's clear that the system, so to speak, needs updating. Right. It is out of date and out of touch.
Well, yeah.
And whether that ever happens, I have no idea. But
Sessions was interesting. He did admit, now I recall. He did recall some new things.
Right.
Oh, those low-level Russian operatives. Right. I remember them now.
Right.
Oh, silly me. It must have been all those herbs and spices confusing me.
Well, here's a question that gave me pause this week. Someone posed, what would happen if right now the Russians are after the Democrats, giving them money and trying to get them in power? What would happen if that slowly but surely leaked out that was happening on the Democratic side? Because it very well could be. These guys sometimes don't even know where the millions are coming from.
I don't think they'd recall either.
So I don't know if the shoe on the other foot would make a Republican give pause, but
please, they would crap their pants, grab their guns, and be all in D.C.
Yeah.
The White House would have been set on fire by now.
Yeah, there's a special investigation for the uranium that didn't belong to the country that Hillary Clinton didn't sell to the Russians.
Right, and
right now.
By the way, the media's almost best takedown came yesterday by Shepard Smith on Fox News.
He shot it full of holes.
Dismantling his own network's narrative about the whole thing. If you watch it, it's a very well put together authoritative presentation in a short amount of time to just say, this is why this is a bunch of fucking bullshit. Right. There is so much nothing here, it's ridiculous.
His conscience is going to get him fired.
Well, and
every time I see him on Fox...
That's always been my thing, is what kind of dirt does he have or something? I mean, how does he still have a job on Fox News with all
maybe
the things
he's
that
the
come
one
out?
counterpoint they need.
Well, I think, it's interesting. I think Fox keeps him and also Chris Wallace around so that they can sort of claim, we're still a journalistic enterprise. Look, we got these two guys.
We're still F&B.
Although when I see Shepard Smith on Fox, it looks like a hostage video. I almost feel like if he's blinking, SOS, get me out of here. But whatever. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to the base of that is driving this party, the Republican Party. They don't care. There's nothing you can say to them that will change their minds. They don't take their marching orders from anybody but Donald Trump. That's it. Trump will tell them what to do, and they will do it. And I guess what's most scary, and we've talked about this in the past, is that this strain in American culture and American society that is so ready and willing to just give up all pretense to any sort of self-determination and free will. They're happy to get rid of it. Mm-hmm. They're happy to exchange
to the right character.
Yeah, to the right one.
To any character.
But they have to promise the right things.
To the right character.
How about to the toughest guy in the room?
Yeah, the John Wayne.
I'm gonna silverback in there, and if I walked in right now and I put a good old Trump in a cochina clutch, choked him out, could I be president? Is that how it's working?
Maybe that's how it's going to be.
I choked him out. I'm now the leader of the gang.
Yeah, I mean, it's... oh, God. It's like Idiocracy. Wasn't that how you became...
You're a douche all the way.
In Idiocracy, wasn't that how you became president? Didn't you have to... there was like a fight. Yeah, it was like a fight, a wrestling match, right. So, I guess that's where we're heading.
Let's do it.
'Cause
I think anyone can take it.
Oh, my God. All that...
Hillary Clinton would have been president already. She'd have rock'em sock'em roboted him.
Oh, my God.
Those are bananas.
Yeah. So... Well, there's that.
The Sessions is good to watch. I don't know if anybody's seen the clips, but check out his testimony. How his tells are basically he gets mad when he's lying, and he will, when he is being smug, he'll kind of look down and smile at his papers, and you can kind of watch the theater at work here. Now, my whole thing on Sessions was: is this a grand play? Is this to get himself fired? I think at first they were all just saying, "Oh, it'll just blow over. No one will really, do this." But kind of strange admissions out of the blue that are implicating Sessions.
Right,
was my thing.
So that was like, no, this is where the elephant in the room is Donald Trump 2. Mm-hmm. This guy. Mm-hmm. Born idiot. Oh. Like if his dad's stupid, he's like a carbon copy level of stupid.
Well, right. First of all, did you see the deadlift video of DJ T2? He put a video out of him deadlifting. I don't know how many hundreds of pounds, whatever.
Yeah,
and
trying to break his back.
Of course, he did it completely wrong. I mean, he successfully did it, but he did it in a way that like every trainer would say, like, that's how you blow out your back. And he just watched you go, I wish he would have just,
So,
but anyway.
So there's this need to show your physical strength.
Right. And I want to point out, he's wearing a baseball cap backwards. So right off the bat, douche-tard. Mm-hmm. He has the douche-tard uniform on.
He's the bro.
Yeah, absolute bro.
President Bro!
Yeah.
Hi, President Bro here. What's up, America?
So, now, of course, we learned this week that, speaking of Donald Trump Jr., that WikiLeaks was in communication with Jr., and so I think it was the Washington Post? No, it was the Atlantic Monthly broke this story, and they put out some of the tweets, and they wrote this story out, and so then WikiLeaks basically, and Julian Assange specifically, said, "Oh well, the Atlantic, they're only putting they're editing it. You don't see the whole thing." So then Trump Jr. puts out the whole exchange, as he has done in the past, where he just releases everything, and it goes. You realize this just confirms everything that this article's saying. It does not exonerate you.
This article said that WikiLeaks told you to tell your dad to use a web link.
Yeah.
And then suddenly your dad's using a web link 15 minutes later. You're an idiot.
Right.
This is worse than when you released all your emails last time.
I know.
Implicating yourself.
I mean, Mueller has to just, be sitting back going, well, thanks, I guess.
He's like looking around.
He's just bloody steaks. Is his own children a bloody steak? Put it out there. What got me on the Sessions thing that this was kind of a theater was thinking about anytime you hear of somebody saying something to Hope Hicks, that's who they were laundering, the Donald Trump, messages through.
Right.
So if you see it went through Hope Hicks, most likely it went right to Donald Trump. So if that's the case, if he is laundering emails, you know that Trump is saying, oh, well, we're just going to use Ivanka's today, and then we'll use Donald's tomorrow, and it's never coming from him, and he thinks that is insulating himself, and he will just offer up those bloody steaks when needed to keep the
I don't think he would do
his
his kid. He would offer Jeff Sessions up in a heartbeat. Right. Flynn's gone. Anybody else. But even Kushner. But I don't think the real blood kids yet.
But I think you're right. I think you're right in that, in Trump's mind at least, as long as it never came to his email, he's fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Well, it kind of goes back to him making up that press release about the adoption rate when the first one hit. It was like, we all knew it was Trump, and then now it's like, no, it wasn't me, it went directly to him. And then he made the policy, it went directly back out, and the policy was bullshit. So therefore, that's the mastermind, and you can kind of take the steps and go, well, this is still all just Trump. This is still just all Trump.
Right. And again, the person that's in charge of the Trump family defense, and the president and his children, is this guy Ty Cobb, who is a complete fucking idiot. If you talk to any league, they're like, this guy is way out of his league. But like Trump, he thinks he's the smartest guy in the room, so he automatically bonds with Trump. Right. Oh, I like this guy. He's a dick. I like him. But the guy's completely outclassed. There is world-class legal talent in Washington, D.C. that would be more than happy to take this case on, the defense of the president, just because of its prestige, whatever you think of Trump. The fact that you'd be defending the president, they would be happy to. World-class legal talent. The first thing that they would say is, I will come on board, Mr. President, if these conditions are met. And of course, none of them could possibly be met by Trump. He can't abide by it. Right. And so he continues to be counseled by people who don't know what the fuck they're doing, which is great. I say good. You keep listening to Ty Cobb. You keep listening to these other idiots. That go out and discuss legal strategy on a fucking patio restaurant. Well, please do.
It's hard to find mafia lawyers. You have to have dirt on a mafia lawyer to get the lawyer to be in the mafia with you to get that. So these real guys that have a long career, they're distancing themselves from,
Normally that's true, but in D.C., in politics, there is a whole cadre of lawyers, great lawyers, who, politics aside, like David Boies. David Boies, if you remember, he fought on the side of, I think he fought for Gore in the Bush-Gore fight back in 2000. Then he teamed up with one of those lawyers to argue for a gay marriage. And he's a guy who's kind of crossed the aisle and been wherever he's needed to go. I'm just using him as an example of somebody like that, who they have Republican clients, they have Democratic clients. That's not the point. They don't give a shit about that. It's the stature of the client. It's the nature of the case. They would kill themselves to be the defense of the president. Right. It matters not.
Yeah.
Win or lose. But they're never going to be consulted. Again, because if they're worth anything, the first thing they will say is, shut up! Secondly, you've got to let Jared and you've got to get them out of the White House. They have to go. Sever that link immediately.
Yeah.
But he'll never do that. Never.
And and at this point, what would be the harm in that for him? As like, they don't have these connections already after a year or whatever dirty deeds you're trying to get done in the White House. It's a trust thing with him. Is these people have pledged their loyalty to Trump, and they will not cross him, and they'll go to the grave, being the bloody stake, for Trump. As that is his loyalty pledge. That is the mafia. That is the game that is being played here in the White House. And it's so foreign. Everybody thinks the government and mafia are so similar. But it's so foreign because in the mafia, you have people that are willing to be the bloody stake. That are willing to take the hit. That is your job in the mafia. In government, that's not the case. It's about every man for themselves. And it's all back due to what kind of votes you can get. And who kind of backing you can get next election, what kind of money's coming. In Trump world, that is not the case. All his money is dirty. It has always been dirty. His family is dirty. So all of these career lawyers can't really touch him, because number one, he doesn't trust them. Not to flip.
Oh yeah.
And number two, it is a huge case, but think of if they actually get him off or something like that. And you bring up big names. Every one of those big names, they have to take a couple of years off before they switch sides. They work, they can't just, turn right around. Oh, we were doing, the Planned Parenthood protection this week, and then next week we're going to, go do gun rights. Those people, they do kind of take a few years off and mellow themselves out and wade the waters. These lawyers are staying away from him because it's that dirty. I mean, and that's the whole, all of Washington. I mean, we have Zinke as our interior. These people that were picked by Trump are basically saying to him, okay, I'll be the bloody state.
Well, there are, it's interesting that I was just thinking about it. I mean, there are some attorneys out there of note, like Alan Dershowitz, who seem to be taking the Trump line. They almost seem to be advertising themselves to, please hire me. Because Dershowitz has come out and said he doesn't think that there is any reason that there's no reason the president can't get rid of Mueller, and that there's really no connection here, and that it should. Which I just think is bullshit. And I almost feel like Dershowitz is almost putting out his for hire shingle.
Right.
But I don't know. Look,
don't you think as 20 or 30 years down the line, whatever happens to Trump, no matter what happens, this will get sorted out. This time in history of the first cyber attacks and what country was what, and it'll be like the Civil War battlefields, like you see in history books. These people are sooner or later going to be on the wrong side of history. History completely changes with the new propaganda.
Well, don't forget, the winners get to write history. You're assuming we win.
Yeah.
We being the current lovers of freedom and the American Republic. There's nothing to guarantee the continuation of the American experiment.
The winners do get to write history, but Americans like nothing more than a scandalous, awful thing. So this will all eventually come to fruition at some point. If it's not now, in the future, you're going to find this is what happened in the great Trump escapade.
Right.
Because we love the juicy meats.
No. Clearly we love scandal. That's the whole American psyche. Build something up and then knock it down. That's how we operate.
Yeah. Like American Idol.
Am I Paula?
No. And you're not Simon, so don't even think.
I got to be Randy?
You're Randy.
All right,
Rob
fine.
Simon.
All right, dog. Anyway,
and you're 10 seasons ago, American Idol, you're referencing.
I don't even know who's
Last
on it
time you
now.
watched
it. I don't know about you.
Oh my God, I watched the first season. I was like, enough. I just think that you don't want to overreact. You don't want to be too over the top about it. But they're all Trump and the Republicans and these folks. They're all in on this, which means they'll follow Trump wherever they need to go to not lose power. And so if where they have to go is a further erosion of American democracy, a further erosion of individual rights, a further erosion of, system norms, they'll do it without hesitation. I mean, we just saw an article this week that Trump's already winning in the fact that he's remaking the judiciary at the fastest pace in 25 years. That he's the number of judges that he's put into place at the district court level. Okay, so at the federal district level, which requires much less scrutiny. But those district court cases, a lot of law gets made there.
Sure.
And he's already put in a vast amount of people, hard right conservative people. And they're purposely picking seats in states that have either Democratic senators or moderate Republican senators who are up for election in 2018 or 2020, who will be very hard, who need the votes from people across the aisle. They need at least some Republicans to vote for them. And so it'd be in other words, they can't just blanket oppose all these judicial nominees. So a lot of times they're going ahead and approving people that they probably wouldn't otherwise approve because they're kind of in a political position that they can't otherwise do. So Trump we're seeing all this stuff on top. This is some of the stuff that's happening underneath. Last week I talked about, the articles talking about what's going on, like the Department of Energy and agriculture, especially for the transition, where there just was no effort made at all to bring in competent governance. That's only continued for this first year, of his presidency. And
it's hard to find a mafia director, too.
Well, and that's it. So we are heading down a path that worries me. That, again, if we don't see some significant change in 2018 and in 2020, I don't know what the fuck. I mean, if he gets reelected, much less, I don't know if he's going to want to run again, but if he gets reelected, oh my God, really?
We don't deserve to be a country.
Apparently not.
That's fine. We've done some stupid things, and this is just the latest.
This is the worst. It's the latest and the worst. To ourselves.
Yeah,
I'm sure the Native Americans would be like, hold on, I have something to say.
Yeah,
about that.
The Native Americans,
right.
The perv-NATO that's happening right now. Misogyny states of America.
Yeah,
that's pretty bad.
It's all pretty bad. So
I still think that all that whole perv-NATO stuff is a backlash to Trump getting away with it. I think it's just
I'm sure that's an element of it.
We're done now. That asshole. No one ever again.
Yeah. That probably plays into it for sure. Because none of this is new. It didn't all just start a year ago.
No, it's been going on for
how long have men been around?
A couple. Well, depends on who you talk to.
Yeah.
At least 6,000 years according to everyone.
Right. Oh, God.
Back when Billy the Kid rode that velociraptor into town.
And then if you have any, questions as to why we are in the state that we're in, I saw, the Flat Earth Society recently met and had their convention. And, what seemingly before seemed like a couple hundred, maybe a couple thousand worldwide, just idiot nutcases who you got the sense that maybe half of them maybe believe it, the other half are just doing it to be pricks, just to be dicks, Yeah, fuck you, yeah, the Earth's flat, jerk. They know. But no, this conference is going on, sold out, and it is unbelievable to see this. It's going on in North Carolina, and as these folks there are convinced that the Earth is flat, hearing their explanations, they have been convinced, and they have bought into the notion that the concept that the world is a sphere is a long-held conspiracy that's been passed down for centuries.
All right, so how do they get around the day-night thing? Do we flip?
Oh yeah, there's a whole explanation,
they have I'm not going to.
Explanation for day-night. Oh yeah, they have the whole thing.
Really?
We live on a flat disc. Others say it's they describe it as a wine bottle shaped thing where it's narrow on one end. I mean, they're just like, I don't know what to say to you people, other than you're all fucking idiots.
Wow.
And they're all Americans.
Couldn't
Most
they have
likely.
couldn't they have taken all that time and energy and just checked it out for themselves?
They think that they have.
Yeah, like the guy that flew across the country and didn't notice any curves at all.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it becomes unbelievable. Well, let me restate that. It's all too believable.
Right.
But the fact that this is now gaining momentum, that's what I'm getting at, is the Flat Earth Society has been around. I mean, I remember it 30 years ago there was a Flat Earth. It's been around for a while. And 30 years ago, it was pretty much a joke. Yeah, there were maybe a couple dozen hardcore or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it was pretty much a joke. And you could send away for your Flat Earth Society membership card. And it was that. It was a joke.
It was
a haha, ironic, stupid thing.
I always saw Animal House. Like the movie Animal House. Whenever I thought of the Flat Earth Society, it was just some place where everybody goes to party,
right?
Have fun,
Exactly.
That would be great.
Flat Earth Society, and
but
we're all just silly.
But
they're real.
It is
crazy,
gaining ground. And by the way, it's spreading. I mean, there's like a Flat Earth Indonesia chapter. So there's chapters all over the world, and it is spreading. And so the current state of things that we see, not only in this country, but all over the world, in Europe, in Asia, I mean, this is a symptom of it. And it is, it's the toxic result of the internet. I think in a large way, whatever benefits come down from the internet and social media, this is the dark underside that, and I'm not saying the Flat Earth, I'm saying how that manifests itself in our political and social systems. We're seeing that play out now. People can be so easily manipulated. They could before, but there were, I guess, filters in place to sort of prevent wholesale idiocy.
Well,
and now those are removed.
Maybe there's always been the same level of people, but now they just have a voice on the internet.
Right.
So
I buy that.
Quite possibly, the world is not a more dangerous place than it used to be. We just hear about it quicker.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So all these people were out there. They just didn't find each other yet.
Right. Okay. So you actually, I'm glad you said that, because that actually hits the real point, which is you're right. There was plenty of idiocy out there all the time. This is the underside, as not everyone deserves to be heard.
Yes.
I mean, that's a concept that it's hard for people to agree to. But you know what? Not everyone deserves to be heard.
Right.
They just don't.
And I was thinking like Civil War reenactors. There's plenty of those guys, and they go out and they really live their part. Or even LARPers, I think, is a new thing for kids.
New.
Yeah, it's a new thing.
It's a new thing.
It's a new thing for those.
When I was a kid, it was a new thing.
Was it?
Right.
But anyway, those type of things allow you to get with your little group and forget about the rest of reality, just like a commune back in the 60s.
Right, so let's say this Flat Earth Society, it's growing in momentum. There's a bunch of hardcore people that actually believe it, and then a bunch of people that are just hanging out.
Right.
Because they don't have anywhere else.
Right, and they're nice people, those.
They just happen to think the earth is flat.
Yeah.
It's like the anti-vaxxers.
Right.
They were led by Jenny McCarthy into the wilderness.
And see, like, motorcycle tracks. That's something I have personal knowledge of. There's a whole bevy of people that just spend their whole day there. They might know someone there, but, it's a motorcycle track. How often are you going to talk to him if he's competing in this event? They're just hanging out there. And it's like, why would you spend your whole Sunday afternoon, whole day really out here when you obviously aren't into this? And it's all about the people. So, I think humans are herders. And if the herd allows you to come in, you're very easily manipulated by the leader of the herd's word.
Right. So, like, the sense of belonging, maybe. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really what the internet has provided, was people found each other.
Right.
So the idiot in South Dakota and the idiot in Alabama who never met, can now connect on the internet and go to a conference in North Carolina.
And now there's 2,000 or 20,000 likes on a page, and the news can report on it as something. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? It's like it wouldn't have been anything if those two people wouldn't have been a like on a page that someone could confirm in a newspaper room in Washington.
So, it's
or New York.
I think a series of false validations.
Yeah.
Which is, how we operate. We create holidays to validate ourselves. Valentine's Day.
Yeah, true.
It's all celebrate a day where you have to do something because someone told you to in the 50s.
Mm-hmm. Right. Celebrating St. Valentine's. It's a religious holiday explicitly, but...
Right.
And do you think there's a guy living on this planet that doesn't think of a Tommy gun on Valentine's Day?
There's plenty.
Plenty of
actually just
I always that was the big it took over the history, just like John was talking about. Is Valentine's Day for a young boy at that time wasn't about kissing girls and doing that. It was look at that gun.
I think that's maybe unique to your
my
LARPing
system. Okay.
Because growing up, when I think of Valentine's Day, I think of Canadians, miners, and serial murder. Because one of my favorite movies was My Bloody Valentine as a kid, and women stuffed in dryers.
Right.
So I guess
I just thought free candy.
Yeah.
So this is
that's the common theme to all your holidays.
Pretty much, yeah.
I guess we all had kind of a little, warped there. We knew it was a fake holiday, but we still,
not as fake as Sweetest Day. Because it came with the gravitas of Saint Valentine. Mm-hmm. A revered saint.
True.
That no one had heard of until they dusted him off for this particular card-selling extravaganza. Mm-hmm. But, that's insidious, though. Valentine's Day played its audience well. It said, you ladies aren't taken care of. So now it's time for you to exert your rules. Make sure that there's a day for you.
Yeah. I don't know if that was really the case. I think someone decided that they would sell a lot more chocolate that day.
But they had to. They had to. Men aren't going to go out and buy it on their own.
I see.
So they had to motivate their audience to force them to
have that expectation for that day. I got you. All right.
Right, yeah, no. Good advertising never targets the consumer that's buying. It targets the motivators to that consumer.
True. No. Who are the purchasers? In most cases.
Every toy commercial when I was a kid was targeted to parents.
Yeah.
Right. And now...
Here's your kid to go outside by himself and be quiet. I'll take 6.
And now they're marketed to kids.
Right, who have their own cash.
Right. Mm-hmm. Or can nag their parents into submission. Whereas my parents are fairly immune to that. I think most parents in the 70s were.
Or numb. I think numb is a good term.
Right.
Parents in the 70s. That bottle of scotch, I don't care what that kid does. Hey, look. Baking soda water. Or sauce. Damn, I messed that one up.
That's all right.
Yeah.
So,
what? Evel Knievel?
Evel Knievel was a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You guys were talking about toys. I love my little Evel Knievel wind-up toy.
Right.
That was a good one.
Did you have the Snake Canyon rocket car?
No, I just jumped in it by siblings.
Not everyone had
off the top
rich stuff. Joe.
I didn't have that either, by the way.
Are you sure?
Yeah. You know what? I didn't. My mom got me, instead of going to get me G.I. Joes, she bought at a garage sale Big Jim.
Oh, Big Jim was great.
Yeah, which was cool.
Big Jim in the pack?
And I got the Big Jim and he had like a big RV.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that was cool, but it was used, but okay, that's fine.
That's all right. You're just going to beat it up.
I know, and I did.
Yeah.
And then set it on fire.
I'm glad you didn't pay full price for Big Jim and the pack.
Maybe my mom knew what the hell she was doing.
And the pack was an acronym for something. PACK.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
Big Jim and the...
Yeah.
Well,
Professional action combat karate. Something.
So, there's an interesting point I just thought of. Do you think the switch to advertising towards females has a link to the rampant consumerism?
There's no switch. It's always been.
No, I don't know.
They're-
You ever seen those coffee commercials or the? They certainly weren't nice to the females or talking about them. Yes, but you were right.
Doesn't
is
matter.
they were talking to the female.
Because they historically have been the
just
household.
not nice.
They're the household decision makers as far as where the money goes.
Right.
Historically.
Right. By the way, PAC stood for Professional Agents Crime Killers.
Professional agents, crime killers, Big Jim and the Pack, and everyone was a big. It was a Big Jim, Big John, Big
Right.
Josh.
Right.
Well, you want to have big guys if you're.
Hey, it's like a bear club. You know? It's a bunch of guys that get an RV and have a bunch of weird sex.
He was
He
marketed in Europe as Mark Strong.
Mark Strong.
See, that's what we used to have back then. It's like 6 guys could get together. Now it's 6,000. They can all get together
Right.
on Facebook. And back then, you had to have a burly club.
And
or
Big Jim was less
And
military
an RV.
oriented than
And an
G.I.
RV.
Joe.
Well, yeah, he was an adventurer.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And he was taking out crime.
Right.
G.I. Joe had to have the government decide who was a criminal first. But Big Jim could figure out who it was because he was a
Right.
crime killer.
Yeah, that's true.
Big Josh had the kung fu.
I did eventually get the G.I. Joe with the Seawolf submarine.
Oh, yeah, that's
that-
some eBay gold.
Now that
right
was
there.
yeah, that got destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing with toys.
It's pretty much
You played with
all my action figures died horrible.
If you didn't
horrible
play with them, you were
deaths.
that kid.
I was a kid that I didn't play with them.
Really?
I set them up in dioramas and that's what would happen. And I would take a picture. I guess I was making movies. Like, a
Right,
long
I
time
guess
ago.
so.
Wow.
I was just setting them on fire.
I don't want
with,
to burn.
your buddy, though.
Yeah,
Right.
pretty much. Yeah.
I don't
Was
want
your
to
buddy
burn.
there setting up the diorama?
Didn't have many buddies.
Okay,
I preferred
all right,
alone.
Kind of,
I preferred. So my mom did get a little suspicious one day because she came in and she found all the superheroes hanging from nooses, and the villains were down there celebrating. I'm like, well, they lost. What can I say?
Okay. So what does this say about our current state of politics?
It says that we're lucky we never got into politics.
Yeah. I guess. What do you think? What kind,
John would be blowing up submarines, and I'd be hanging the good guys.
what kind of toys do you think Trump played with? What kind of a kid? I mean, now as I recall, the
I almost said something. Like small black children.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I figured. Like, I want 4 of them, Dad.
right. Well, I remember the
Dance.
frontline expose that sort of looked at Trump's background and his upbringing, and they talked to some childhood friend of his who said Donald Trump was the kid who would kick your sandcastle down or knock your house of cards down,
Of course,
and
he is.
laugh. That was the kind of kid he was. Mm-hmm. So we had pretty active childhoods in terms of imagination.
right.
Right.
For however that played itself out. I'm trying to make something of this.
I don't know. See, like, what would be on his Christmas list? 10-year-old Donald Trump. He's got everything. Like, A, 1, new dad. 2, bigger hands. Dear Santa, give me bigger hands. 3, tanning bed.
Yeah.
4, this is the rabbit hole to nowhere.
Wow, we've usually we don't have any lack of things to talk about.
We just did something stupid. And went on
It's
this
kind
tangent.
of,
We get back to Bernie Bernstein.
Okay, back to Bernie
Well,
Bernstein.
think about let's go to the current state of the GOP that voted in and is protecting this crazy person who does these very strange things, and we all knew about it. It was all in the press. Everybody knew about it for 8 years during Obama, for 12 years during the Bushes. All you had heard from the conservative right was, family values, we're going to make this country great again.
Right.
How has Donald Trump provided that for those people, and why are they still voting for him? I mean, yes, there's some Trumpelstiltskins out there, if you want to call them that are very intent on breaking up the current government status quo. I think that was a very big part of his vote, was everyone feels screwed. Well, therefore, let's get screwed some more, I guess. He can't do any worse. But there is a huge crowd that swayed many elections that are watching this guy. I mean, watching him basically let in at least the beginnings of racial divide and Nazism and white supremacists and white supremacists in ties that go around speaking around the country and get, hordes of crowds, and no one is on that side basically speaking out against that. They're taking that in wholesale as votes no matter what. In this day and age, do you think had Gore won, anything would be different?
Many things would be different.
And this is kind of leading into the Hillary question of, we're a year in now. I thought we might kind of diverge into what Hillary would have done in the first year, since I just got done reading the book.
Well, so if we went through the Gore thing, quite possibly there wouldn't have been a 9/11.
It's possible, but I mean, it would have been
prevented.
You know how this game
it's the
plays
what
out,
if game,
right?
And no, there probably wouldn't have been an Iraq invasion.
Well, I feel like there might have been a 9/11. There almost certainly would not have been an Iraq invasion.
I guess my hinge pin on all of this is, would that narrative that the right has been pushing for 20 years now, I guess, if you think it all through, of government is the absolute worst thing on this planet. It is wrecking your life. It is wrecking my life. They all are vampires. There are people out there that are screwing you on welfare just because of this government, and they're taking your taxes. And it's been this constant rhetoric of that side of the aisle, that smaller, almost in shooting themselves in the foot, trying to get smaller and smaller and smaller.
Well, that only worked because they weren't in power, and so now the rhetoric can't work now because it's a false. It only works when you're the opposition.
Right.
Smaller. See what they're doing? Oh, they're taking. See all that? That only works when it's not you. Now that it is you, see what we just. Oh wait, no. Whoops. It can't work. So that's. It's going to take. 2018 is really where we're going to see if people are paying attention, saying, "Oh wait, you just did the same stuff. What is wrong with you guys?"
Right, and then that's showing out in their tax plan, and
Right.
people are even on that side of the aisle are saying, "Hey, where's my middle? Where's all my exemptions?" Is what they're really saying. They're getting a tax break in percentage, but they're losing all their exemptions. So many in the middle class are actually going to be seeing a tax increase in the coming years to pay for. I just, off the top of my head, heard $1 billion in tax cuts for that administration. Why is that not big news for them?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is where the disconnect comes from the actions that are being taken. I mean, this tax bill runs so completely counter to everything that the Republicans have said they're about. They are going to be disregarding their own House rules about tax cuts. These same Republicans instituted a rule a while back that you could not pass legislation that would increase taxes of a certain, to a certain amount of people without doing this or this or this. You have to jump through all these hoops that would basically make it impossible to pass such a bill, make it very difficult. They're going to abrogate their own rule because they want to pass this tax reform bill so bad, which is going to raise taxes.
Right. They need to be raised. From somebody.
But the wrong people are going to be. I mean, they're raising them on the absolute wrong people, of course.
Like always.
And it's a huge giveaway to the very top. And it's not even the top 1%. It's the top 100th percent. It's the ridiculous multi-fucking billionaires that get all this money. It's ridiculous.
And at least 3 of them don't want it.
Yeah, exactly. And so I saw last night. Do you remember the sequestration shit that went down in 2010, 2011, where they made this compromise where I think the Democrats made a huge tactical mistake, but okay. And they agreed with the Republicans, to put in these sequestration cuts that basically said, if you cut from here, you got to cut from here, And it was supposed to be the loaded gun to the head, and you got 6 months. It was this ridiculous. Who would create a bargain like this? And it was like, if you don't do the right thing in 6 months, we're going to burn your house down. And of course, what happened? They didn't do the right thing in 6 months because they're just completely gridlocked idiots. And so the sequestration things went into effect. If this tax bill goes into effect because of that sequestration legislation from 2011, still in effect, still the law of the land, immediately $25 billion will be cut from Medicare every year for 10 years. Mm-hmm. It has to happen. Yep. And so this notion that, this is going to benefit people, it is so going to fuck people over. Right. I mean, when you start cutting billions of dollars out of Medicare, and that's the thing, of course, if you campaign on, we're going to cut Medicare, you're done as a political party. Right. But they're doing this in this way. I feel like all common sense is lost. And, I mean, look, this information was bound to come out. It's already coming out. And part of this tax reform legislation, again, is also Trump went back and forced the House Republicans, forced them to put in a provision in this tax cut thing that is, again, going to try and go after the ACA. Mm-hmm. Again. Mm-hmm. After repeatedly running their heads into the steel wall that is the ACA, that people like it and want it. They'd like to see it improve, but they don't want it to go away. And he's insisted that the House Republicans again put that in there. Another poison pill that they themselves, they should know. Mm-hmm. No, this is gonna fuck. And they're like, okay. And they put it in there again. And I'm like, good. Piss off even more people. Yes. I mean, there's a smart way to get this done, and they're not doing it, which is great news. That's the good news. They're doing it absolutely stupidly. Mm-hmm. And so, why? And because they're stupid. That's the only explanation I can come to.
They don't know how to do this. They've never had to do this before. Well, they've always talked about repeal and replace, or we're going to come up with legislation, but they've never come up with real legislation before. This is the first time they've been in the driver's seat like this. This current crop of quote-unquote lawmakers, and they are clueless. This is the first time we've had Republican control since the ascension of the Tea Party. And they, we don't want those standard politicians. We want the new guys and try all their new stuff. They don't know how to do anything. Right. So this legislation is it's low-hanging fruit. It's go to the corporate donors who are influencing them right now. It's just ridiculous, stupid.
Absolutely, but your McConnells and even your Paul Ryan, they should know better.
They should.
They do know better, and yet they continue. So this goes to your question: why do they continue down this path?
Right.
That makes no sense.
They still never had to govern or create legislation, though.
Right.
They have been opposition people their entire careers. Right. It's super easy to be, no, that's stupid. We'd do it better. Too bad we're not in power. Well, now they are, and they can't do anything. It's like that one asshole that you had, like you have to do group work in school, and there's the one asshole that just didn't like anything, but when asked if they had any
other ideas,
no, just better than that. I could do by myself better. Okay, well, here you go. Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell.
We'll come get our piece next week.
You got your douchebag elected. Okay, you got that.
But see, that is Donald Trump that you just explained. I mean, really, is that kid. So once again, it wasn't just the Trumpelstiltskins that got him elected. There's got to be another portion of this country that really is just really on board with abortion or gun control or whatever he hasn't done. And if you look at his first year, none of those things that the conservative right have been squawking about for the last 20 years have been taken care of.
So you remember how you don't advertise to the real consumers? Trump didn't advertise to voters. His surrogates advertised to voters. Mm-hmm. So the surrogates who saw him as an easily manipulatable guy to get their shit done sold Trump in like a two-part messaging system, sold Trump to voters.
Okay.
And so the voters voted Trump in and thinking their guys would work with them, but not knowing that their guys were also those kids that never had to do anything. They just had to complain about what was being done.
True.
So now we're stuck with a bunch of people who don't know how to do this stuff. And that's why we have these ham-handed attempts. We got the son of the president who can't even claim the fifth accurately.
Right.
Like, I didn't do that.
Right.
Just say that. Oh, here's all my emails. In third grade, I cheated on this test once, but you'll never prove it.
What? You just handed me the test.
With your note on it, spelled it correctly, that said, I chahaded.
Oh, God.
It's what is wrong. And so that's it. We are being run by Richie Rich. The guy whose butler saved him all the time, and the butler who knew what was going on.
Yeah.
We've always had them there. They have been the Republican Party. Some very wealthy people who made some wonderful business decisions or inherited a bunch of money, who were there to oppose regular legislation and people who came up from the bottom, much like Hillary Clinton did.
Yeah.
Or Barack Obama.
Yeah.
And there's a large swatch of Democrats that don't know how to lead either. They've been silver spooned the entire time, but they've got some humane bug up their ass or something from college. Who knows? But we're left with a bunch of people who don't know how to do things. Donald Trump has never done anything. He's had things presented to him, and he said yes or no.
Right.
He's never made these things, though. Mitch McConnell has never made these things. Paul Ryan has never made these things, and now they got to make them.
Yeah.
So now they're online Googling tax reform template legislation.
Oh, no.
They're looking for a Word document so they can just overwrite.
Yeah, that's what they're calling their donor. Hey, can you write me just like Pruitt does?
Right.
That's what Pruitt does. Hey, we're going to be doing legislation soon. You should get some into me. We're going to do it. You better have yours in, and then I'll just change the letterhead. And that is the crazy part of all this is, to me, this is apparent. This is a easily ciphered game, and many smart people on the other side of the aisle should have picked up on it already.
They have. But how do you combat that?
And that they, on their own terms, obviously, I'm not going to, but I'm saying these things that are out there. I mean, we were talking about John's battle royale with the Russia investigation, that there's still people out there that are just going to discard that information out of their brains whatsoever. This never happened, blah, 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 my guy won, Republicans are in power. They don't care if they're doing the stuff. But what they do care about is what we talked about many times, is when shit isn't good. Shit isn't good for them, or shit is good for them. So, my point is, if we would have had a hard worker in the White House for all of these years, would we still have this slice of population that is so against government because of all the naysayers, all the stupid guy that doesn't want to do his project?
I understand your question.
My question is throughout time, the history does get rewritten by the winners, as John has stated at the beginning of the show. And now, throughout this swath of time, we've had this constant right-wing rhetoric. Think of at the start of Fox News. Mm-hmm. Start of Fox News forward is this rhetoric of your country is bad, but we can make it great again. Your country is bad, but we can make it great again. It's basically Trump's message for the last 30 years, and he's just kind of picked up on it and put words to it.
Right.
And that type of message may or may not have been combated without people in power on our side. So would our populace have been the same if Gore had won in a very squeaky...
Oh, so we're back to... Okay.
In a very squeaky turn, and now, after 2016... And, once again, kind of getting to know Hillary's platform, she would have started with an infrastructure project. Instead of repealing things that the past administration.
Right.
She would have immediately went into a new birth, which would have given that hope to the people. Would that have changed things in the rhetoric at all?
Not their rhetoric, no.
No?
But Trump was even advised, and even hinted that he would, but he was definitely advised, go after infrastructure first, because you'll find bipartisan support for it. I mean, if you really go out and make a grand gesture towards, we're going to rebuild our bridges, and we're going to rebuild, sewer infrastructure and all the rest of that stuff, you would find bipartisan support. You pass that big bill, and it's one of those things where it's like, A, you get both parties on board, you're going to get credit for that. B, you're going to create all kinds of jobs,
right,
from all that work. You're going to get credit for that. Then you get the momentum off that. Then you go do all your evil shit.
Well, that's what Obama did.
And
the big infrastructure bill.
That was my biggest fear from Trump. Him coming from his background and knowing the connections, he could have really got that
exactly.
So got the country on his side.
And yet, his own ridiculously idiotic, narcissistic nature. Nope, got to go after the healthcare thing first. Why? Because it's called Obamacare. End of story. Got to kill it. It's got Obama's name on it. Want it dead now.
So now think about this. So the previous 2 terms, we had Barack Obama in, and they passed legislation. Significant legislation was passed.
Yeah.
Not as much as should have been.
Right.
But significant legislation was passed. In that first year even.
Right.
And including a huge infrastructure thing. So, I think there's people out there that respond to the messaging and things are good, things are bad. Jobs are something that people respond to. This has been such a ham-handed thing, though, because they didn't learn their lessons from even the Bush years.
Right.
Of what to apply and where to apply things. Because you're left with the inmates running this asylum. And it's again, if Gore had been elected up to this point, we wouldn't have had probably 2 Bushes, and it would have been a completely
well that's one of those mental exercises that'll drive you nuts. But I don't think we can understate the significance of the Republicans winning the 2010 elections, where they were able to gerrymander themselves in and become really consequence proof, because you're right. You talk about the legislation that Obama passed, especially in his first term, the big infrastructure project. It was like $900 million. Economists told him, though, they really wanted to pass like a $1.7 trillion package, because they said, look, you've got to reach above a certain number. They called it priming the pump. You have to, and they said $900 million. It sounds big, but it's not quite enough to prime the pump to get it going. You're going to need to pass like at least $1.5 trillion billion dollars. Maybe it was 900 billion. Maybe it was whatever it was. No, it was billion. And they said you're going to have to do like a $1.5 billion bill to really get it going. But the politics of the time, because the Republicans, because Mitch McConnell has said on the day after the election in 2008, we're going to make Obama a one-term president, and signaling to the entire party that our job is now to obstruct every fucking last thing, no matter what it is, no matter how good it might be, we kill it on impact, and they did. So that stimulus bill, it stimulated a little bit, but it never did what it was intended to do. It never really got things going the way it could have, and that was Republicans basically saying "fuck you, country."
Right, but regardless, that's what they know, and that's what they pulled.
Right.
Into this.
So even though Obama got a signature piece through, they still managed to get their fucking fat finger in it, and
but I'm saying that's all they know still.
Right, I agree.
There's no creation of anything.
Exactly.
There's just obstruction. So what they're left with is an obstructionist view of the world. And an obstructionist view of the world means you just repeal what's already there.
Right.
You roll back things that are there. That's how obstructionists change legislation. That's what this tax plan is.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of rollbacks.
Yeah. You're right. I mean, again, look at Obama saving the auto industry. That was a risky move on his part.
Yeah.
Risky move, and he expended some political capital to get it done. And yet, looking back now, every economist will tell you, had he not done it, we would have gone into a depression. I mean, the down spiral of letting the U.S. auto manufacturers go out of business would have been incredible.
And by doing it, he gave himself a second term.
Probably, yeah. And but he did it against Republican, desires. They were more than happy.
Firm would have come in and swooped in and bought the place up.
Exactly. So, but we're relitigating the past, and I guess
Right. So what we're saying is like take your lessons. Even take your Republicans, please. None of you that listen to this, take your lessons from even Bush.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Who was a populist guy, but a populist guy that actually, I think, cared in a weird way. Even George Bush didn't want his country to fail.
No,
I can't say that about Donald Trump.
Right. Oh no, he would be more than happy to to see millions of people suffer if it meant something good for him. Yeah, he would have no problem with that.
And I think that's why him and Duarte are two of a kind.
So the thing about so this is the connection I was trying to make, and I don't think I said it very well. So the thing about learning lessons is that's why 2010 was so important. The Republicans have not had to learn lessons. They've made sure that they don't have to learn any lessons.
Well, they didn't figure out why they got elected. And it wasn't because that the people thought they were going to be better. Yeah. It's because they effectively convinced people that he was worse.
Right.
So they didn't learn anything.
And but by winning the 2010, specifically because they were able to gerrymander, that was the census year. Mm-hmm. They were able to gerrymander in. Then they were perfect for 2012 and 2014 and 2016, where these decisions that they made in the subsequent years that people would go, well, that's going to hurt a lot of people, and people progressively got more and more pissed. It didn't matter. They were in. Mm-hmm. They could do whatever the hell they wanted.
And that's why this is going to be a little bit different when 2018 rolls around. And even these special elections we just saw, weirdness. Things are going to get weirder before they get normaler.
Right. Well,
Especially if I think that we should trade presidents with the Philippines. Because, I don't know, I think Duarte with a budget, man, that could be kind of interesting, huh? Woo, what's going to happen now?
Yeah. Not everything is a comic book.
No. That'd be like giving Ed Wood a $2.5 million budget to make a movie. Like, what the hell would happen? Who knows? Who can imagine? He usually has like $7 and some spit. This is going to be amazing or amazingly awful. Either way.
All right. Well, time. Well,
wait. I read that damn book.
Oh, Clinton's book. Yes, we're going to get a book report.
Yeah, I got to do my book report.
Time for a book report. Hold on. Before you give the report.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
Okay.
That's where I'm going to insert the opening to the book report.
I got you.
No, wait again.
All right, now we get it. Okay. All right, go.
So Hillary's book, What Happened, doesn't tell you what happened. It's a book that if you do not like Clinton and you're walking into it not liking Clinton, it takes some warming up because it's trying to humanize her. It's trying to take what you have gathered from the universe about her and dispel it within the first 7 or 8 chapters.
Well, that's what people that don't like Clinton. What did you think, Rob?
The second part of the book is just kind of like a thank you speech to all of the people, and it was very hard to get through that part of the book because it's all names of people that you've never heard of. What you gather from that part of the book is what we were talking about earlier is, man, they just flip sides. There's everybody there. They're just flipping sides here or there. Everybody, oh, he worked with Bush, now he works with me. Oh, he was really great doing this, and now he works with me. And, it is a career for those people, and you have to remember that it's those people behind the scenes that are protecting their little empire there in Washington, D.C. that have a lot of power and a lot of decision-making skills. Clinton being one of them. I mean, boy, it goes through some stuff with the DNC, and I can say that what we were so upset about, the Bernie passage, she's bitter about many things. Not just Bernie. She's really angry about a lot of different things about the election and how it happened. And Comey and Bernie aren't even on the same scale. So she really blames it mostly on Comey and the whole email thing, and goes through the email thing with very, in one passage just like, oh, I just never could describe it well to the American people. And I'm going to try it again here, and she fails. At the end of that paragraph, she still fails to describe why all of this needed to happen, why we're embroiled in such things for 3 years. Never did explain that fully to my satisfaction whatsoever. The Russiagate part of it, I was expecting some juicy details about what was happening beforehand. All I could basically glean was they knew and no one would listen. Podesta and Hillary both knew that there was something going on with Putin just because of the signals they were getting from their peoples. They knew long before anybody knew in the press, and then they came to find out that the FBI had been trailing these people, long before that, and they knew. The FBI is somewhat culpable in all of this, is that they didn't really bring this to light. In France and Europe, if any kind of attempt is happening, not only does the press play along and not sensationalize it, they basically say this is an alert, this is, we're being attacked, this is another country, if you see ads like this, and that is the newscast that they're getting. Whereas in America, it's all about the headline that can be composed out of a WikiLeaks versus, real information that would be good to society.
She's got some points.
And at the end of it, you walk away from her not feeling sorry for her, because you know that she's a driven woman, and she really was. That was the biggest part of her decision, and her words was, she wanted to be that first one. She thought the time was ripe after all of this. And in the last part of the book, she basically says what we all said, is it was my fault. So I kind of walked away going, okay, I've done this now. I've read it. There really wasn't any great information here. I'm glad I read it. There's always a golden nugget in every book. This golden nugget was that the hatred towards women is still ongoing. The hatred towards race, the hatred towards many things in this country is still ongoing. We can say that we've solved the problem with some legislation, or we've done this, or we've done that, but it doesn't explain away the guy in Mississippi or the guy in Texas that burns the cross on the other kid's lawn, or all of those things are still happening in America, and we need to embrace that history and move forward. And that was the best part of the whole book, was the last couple of paragraphs was, we all know the history, and we're trying to put our heads in the sand about it versus just move forward. We don't have to relitigate it, whose fault it was. We just have to explain that, yes, this is happening. Where is it happening? Oh, ding. Fix that one little thing and move forward. So I still didn't get any, Tyson chicken dirt or anything like that, but I don't think she was going to do that in that book.
Probably not. I don't think you're going to have a Hillary Clinton tell-all.
No.
Maybe Bill might write one.
No, and that's another thing that you never get a sense of in any of her. I read her pre-election book as well. It was a lot of wonk. Was that, a lot of policy and grand future, but in this one it does describe her family and her relationship, and that she's a grandmother, and on election night while she was waiting for the thing, she was playing with her granddaughter, and there's Chelsea and there's Bill, and they are a family. They are real humans, whether you want to believe it or not. It does kind of give you that sense that you never get out of the press.
Well, thankfully you read that, so we didn't have to.
Yes.
God.
It was tough. I mean, you could ask my family. I grumbled a lot. I walked away. I threw the thing down several times, but I'm glad I walked through it. And
I remember reading Clinton's biography, Bill Clinton's. I think it was called My Life. I still have it. Yeah. A big tome, and that was at least somewhat interesting because he had an interesting life. Prior to coming to the White House. I mean,
his mother was.
Yeah, that whole. Yeah, so at least there was that, and I mean, it was. That was interesting.
And that was a part of the story, too, with Hillary, is she didn't have any of that. She was just a middle-class chick who had a pretty good life, and her, parents sent her to college, just like, most middle-class kids, and there really was no backstory to shine on, her rise to power or anything like that, Bill did have and many other people have, Trump has this backstory all his own. He's a billionaire, and I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It was surprising to me that I walked away after throwing it down as many times as I did.
Where is that book now?
It was back at the library.
It was a library book. Okay, yeah. Okay. I didn't know if that was heating us right now.
No.
Put it in the burn barrel and...
No.
If it is, we could sing over it like in Rocky.
Taking it to the streets.
And you know those used books, John? Those always sold well. The President's Story or anything with the president on it always had a good price. So hold on to your Clinton book.
Oh yeah. Well, I save all my books for the apocalypse.
No garage selling.
I've been Kindling. I've been selling old books in the Send My Wife on Vacation Fund. I've been selling books and then Kindling.
Maybe I will have to sell my books. Because, anyway.
Read Eisenhower. Eisenhower's is great.
It's available for Kindle, I bet.
Yeah.
His autobiography?
No, it's about the Eisenhower presidency.
Yeah. I just read, like a year ago,
Did you?
a biography. It was written by...
Yeah, it wasn't him. It was somebody else. Whatever.
The guy.
That one was fun.
You know, the guy.
The guy.
The guy.
It was a different time,
You guys read
different
smart
era.
stuff.
Well, it's a different era,
read
and I
stupid
think people need to reflect back on our history.
That's exactly what
it's
I
recent
do.
history. It's not like it was.
I just read a biography on Herschel Gordon Lewis, the director of Blood Feast and 2000 Maniacs in the 60s.
That's history.
And he invented direct mail marketing. So that's kind of cool.
Personal hero.
A little bit.
Did he have a Nigerian connection? Or?
No. This is in the 50s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's old.
What was his name?
Herschel Gordon Lewis.
Oh, I'm white.
The godfather of gore.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, there you go.
There you go.
There's your book report.
Read books.
The more you know. Dun, dun, dun.
Rob said, read books.
Read books. Go do it. None of that Kindle crap. Go get a book.
All right. Okay. So let's end the show on this.
Oh.
I always see you'll see read interviews, certain authors or whatever, and the one that's in the New York Times Sunday magazine, they keep asking people that they go, "What's the one book that you want the president to read?"
Oh, wow.
Rob. Kind of
because he has no history of it at all. I'd like him to read that Crash of 2016, which is the yin and yang of corporate versus government power and how it's been going on forever. And there's other books to that nature as well, but yeah, I'd like him to get a little bit more grasp on recent history.
Right. Any ideas?
Yes. I have two.
Okay.
First, I want him to read the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy, just so he stays busy.
Yeah.
And won't do anything
I like
stupid.
this.
Or read Dianetics and convert.
Well, funny you say that. Didn't he just come out and say he wants the tax dollars from Scientology?
Yeah.
I mean, is that why that dude?
Yeah, but if he read that and if he got clear, if he went beta, holy crap.
Yeah.
He'd be out of our hair forevers.
Okay. All right.
So either way,
what do you think?
I was going to suggest a pop-up book.
Which one?
Like a pop-up book of American history.
Oh,
because then he would learn it. Because it would have to be.
Can we vet it first? Because it's like, the Pilgrims came and shook hands with the Native Americans.
Okay.
And taught us how to hunt for land.
Right. Yeah, I know. They willingly killed themselves so we could take over.
They taught us how to live in this land, and we taught them real estate.
Do you think those pop-up books might actually get to him? Because he always wants like graphs and
that's why any pop-up book that has to do with history.
Well, I mean, there's certain days where the stack is little. They got to pad it with some stuff.
I figured the Lord of the Rings trilogy would have kept him busy the rest of his term.
Right. Well, but it's
like the whole term. I know, but that's what I'm saying. It would keep him so busy.
I think we should just be sending him pallets full of pop-up books. Star Wars and
pallets of pop. You have pallets of pop.
Yeah.
Just start sending them.
That's what I'm saying. Do you think they'd actually get to
So
him?
like when the Star Wars one comes.
That's why you're asking. I was wondering what is it. It's such a specific request.
Let's change the covers though. So you send him a Star Wars one, the Star Wars pop-up book, and change the cover to NASA's new plan, and send it to him like, Well, light swords. I love light swords. And then we'll start to get funding for shit. Yeah, give NASA as much money as they want. They got Wookiees. What's a Wookiee? This is great.
Then they go visit NASA and wonder where the Wookiees are. Where are the Wookiees?
They'll start asking. But they'll be briefed, and they'll have a Star Wars lobby.
Well, we'll get the theatrics makeup crew on board. We'll have a big budget for that, Dave.
Oh, there's gonna be tons of budgets.
Yeah.
So send them the Pacific Rim pop-up book and new military junk. New military giant robots. We're gonna have giant robots.
All right.
So we might have to start making pop-up books.
You've got tons. We'll just change the covers.
Just the cover. All right.
Just change the covers and stuff that appeals to them, like space stuff from NASA.
Right.
New Army junk. 2.0.
Right. Just take the front cover off like that department's budget. And just put it on top of the pop-up book.
Oh, space guys.
And just on our closing note today, I thought this through that I think the compliment, ask theory on working Trump would work on Trumpelstiltskins as well. I gave it a little bit of testing over the weekend. I was up north.
Compliment, ask.
Compliment, ask. So here's the deal. It worked in a bar up north. My buddy it was cold and snowy up there. We're riding dirt bikes. My buddy did just always prepared. Mr. Boy Scout forgot his long johns. He was feeling cold that day. In the bar was a bunch of hunters that were riding around on their little ATV side-by-siders, They go out there and they get really cold. So I kind of had a feeling that they might have some other warmer items. And I went over and I complimented his little ride. Then I went and complimented his gun rack. Then I went over and complimented his helmet. And then I asked, hey, you guys don't have any more of those little foot warmer things, do you? And this is one of the girlfriends, oh yeah, look there, we just went over. And they're, kind of buzzed up at the time, they're very happy. But think of the interaction there differently if I would have just went up to the Trumples. I don't know that for sure, but they're gun-toting people up there hunting. I'd say probably a good probability that they voted for Trump.
Rob, looking at you up there is a good probability people think you voted for Trump.
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely. I blend. Look at me. I'm a blender. I got camouflage.
Yeah, right.
I got my red, white, blue hat. I got
so compliment, ask.
Compliment, ask. Always walk up and compliment something first.
That's a really great cross that you've just burned on your lawn.
Mm-hmm. What is that, mahogany?
Where'd you get that from? Did you go get that from the river?
Hey, I have a request. I was wondering if you could not burn a cross on your lawn anymore.
So would this work, Rob? Hey, your apparent use of the right there, and there means you're not as stupid as I thought you were. Compliment one.
Right.
Well,
compliment two could be, and you're effectively utilizing the internet in a way that means you know how to type. Why did you vote for this asshole? Would that work? The compliment, ask.
Maybe you're misconstruing the principle, Dave. But you have to.
I don't know.
To really.
My feet are warm. I don't need.
You don't need them. So anyway,
if foot warmers were all we really needed from Trumpelstiltskins, we'd be okay. I would buy you all foot warmers.
Well, everybody's seen the Trump Jr. meme after Halloween talking about socialism. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that's getting pumped into their head.
God, I love it.
You immediately didn't get the go pull yourself up by your own cold feet.
So, but how do you? So this brings up a thing. I know we're running really late, but so the Donald Trump Jr. thing, he wanted to teach a lesson to his kids, so he forced them to go to a children's hospital and give half of their Halloween candy away to show them how awful socialism is.
Oh my God, did he really? I just thought he had to give it away. I didn't know he took it to the hospital. And
if I'm wrong, someone email in, but that's what I got from this.
Okay.
And so how can people who see that not go, but wait, why is that a bad thing that he did? Why is it bad to teach your children to help
others?
Dying kids.
Right.
And give them one, because what? That one happy moment's going to be ripped away anyway, so might as well just let them live in death. Yeah. Pain! That's what it's like. What is wrong with people? How can they not see that is a really good lesson he inadvertently stumbled into?
And wait a minute, to wrap it all back up, how is the religious right not on board with that still. Is that what they're being taught in church each week? No, it isn't. They're taught to make a community with...
But it may be.
Maybe.
Depends on the size of your church and how much the ducats are coming in.
So,
I'll baptize anybody for $19.95. Half off for midgets and children.
I know a lot of you come here, you watch TV, you wait every night for somebody to come on here and give you an answer for your lives, waiting for someone that'll come and say, hey, this is it. I don't have to settle for defeat anymore. I can rise up out of my routine. I can get a hold of myself. I don't have to lose. I can win. There's something inside me that's not going to let me go down anymore. But I'm not the guy.
Subscribe to the No Cry Zone on iTunes and Stitcher and at abnormalentertainment.com/No Cry Zone. Find the No Cry Zone on Facebook and tweet at No Cry Zone. Email nocryzonepodcast@gmail.com. And for more podcasts, comics, books, movies, and more, head to abnormalentertainment.com.
You've been listening to the Abnormal Entertainment Network.